What's up guys, Carl here. Today's video we're going to talk about the joint actions and anatomical positions. So why is this important? So if you're just an everyday gym goer, you're trying to lose some weight, you want to get stronger, or if you're a coach, a trainer, very important to know this stuff. It'll hone your skills better if you understand what the joints are supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do and how they really work. So real quick guys, I'm going to keep it as simple as I can. Imagine this is anatomical position, how I'm standing. So I'm in a neutral position, if you will. So anything from here will have a joint action or a name. So ready? If I do a bicep curl, I'll give you a slight angle. I flex the elbow, right? I extend the elbow. If I do a front raise, boom, flexion of the shoulder, extension of the shoulder. So these are in the sagittal plane. Imagine cutting my body in half. Shoulder flexion, shoulder extension. Elbow flexion, elbow extension. Hip flexion, hip extension. Trunk flexion, trunk extension, right? Lumbar flexion, lumbar extension. Simple stuff, all in the sagittal plane. You can see my ankle, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. See? If I kick my own butt with my knee, that's knee flexion, knee extension. I can go triple flexion at my ankle, knee, and hip here. Extending. Flex the hip, extend the hip. Flex the knee, extend the knee. Pretty simple stuff. Elbow flexion, shoulder extension. That's the sagittal plane, guys. So now imagine if I go to a different plane, meaning I'm going to cut my body. Imagine I'm being sliced this way like a bagel. So now I will shoulder abduct, shoulder adduct. So abduction is abducting away from that midline. Adding back is adduction. Same at the hip. Hip abduction, hip adduction. I'm adding back. Okay? So imagine if I'm doing a lateral raise. I'm abducting away, then I'm adding back. I'm adducting back. Okay, makes sense? Simple stuff, that's the frontal plane. Lateral flexion, right? Neutral position, I'm back in anatomical position. Now look at my forearms, we're going to talk about a little bit of rotation here. Right now I'm supinated, like I'm holding soup, my palms are up. Pronate, supinate, pronate. Shoulder, internal rotation, shoulder, external rotation. Internal, external. Same at the hip. Internal, external. Other leg, doesn't matter. Externally rotate the hip, internally rotate the hip. Simple stuff. You know, neck rotation, okay? Neck flexion, neck extension. So every joint movement you do, there's a name for it, and certain muscles will complete that joint action that you need or want. So very simple, even wrist flexion, wrist extension. Finger flexion, okay? Shoulder blades. So think about your shoulder blades. This one's an important one. If I have a client rowing, okay, so pretend we're doing a low row. They're flexing the elbow and they're extending the shoulder, right? So if I'm in a flex position, this is shoulder extension. Flex position, I'm about to row. At the shoulder, I'm extending, okay? At the elbow, I'm flexing. But what do I want my shoulder blades to do here? I want them to retract. Protract or round out, retract. If they go up, if I shrug, my scapula elevate, they go back down, they depress. Scapular elevation, scapular depression. Internal rotation at the shoulder, external rotation. Wrist and ulnar radius supination, pronate, right? Simple stuff. Ankle dorsiflexion, ankle plantar flexion. Hip flexion, hip extension. Shoulder abduction, shoulder adduction. Okay? Now there's another plane called the transverse plane. So anything with rotation, Russian twist, side throw, even a bench press. So now you cut my body this way, horizontal adduction, horizontal abduction. So a cable fly, horizontal adduction. A reverse fly, horizontal abduction. Okay? Simple stuff. Can get complicated, but if you break it down to the 3 planes. So why is this important? Again, you master the movements in your body, you start to think about the joints, think about the muscles. And another good reason is a lot of clients that you see may say they have fallen and gotten hurt. They hurt their shoulder, hurt their rotator cuff. Once they're done physical therapy, they need to be stronger. They need to go to a strength coach like us. for you guys out there watching, and we need to strengthen them up. So how do we do that? So there's lots of exercises. So how do we prescribe the right ones? Well, a PT is not going to tell this client or us to not to do upright rows, which right now half of you don't even know what an upright row is, which is fine. An upright row is this. But in my brain, an upright row, this PT is telling me no shoulder abduction above 90 degrees. So to not exacerbate pain in this client. So they're not going to say no elbow flexion, or they won't say no bicep curls. They'll say no elbow flexion. Or if they have knee pain, they won't say, don't squat too low. They'll say don't flex the knee past 90 degrees. Okay, so there's terms and terminology that we need to all be on the same page with, so we all have a good understanding. We can help every client out there. So why would an upright row be dangerous to some people? Because simply put, when I internally rotate, I close subacromial space, and one of my 4 rotator cuff muscles, the sits muscles, not to get too detailed here, the supraspinatus actually gets impinged. And internal rotation with abduction is a great way to impinge a rotator cuff muscle. So it doesn't mean it's a bad exercise. It just means some people shouldn't do that. And if the PT says, hey, they get exacerbation of the pain when they abduct and above 90, we understand that we're not going to overhead press. We're not going to abduct above 90 degrees. We're not going to abduct this way. We're not going to upright row. So that's important to know. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. There's a lot more to jump into with this, but I wanted to just give you the basic anatomical positions, some of the joint actions. Next video, we're going to talk about the muscles. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below.